Okay, it says we are live, so let me make sure. Mm-mm. It says we're live, but I don't see. Okay, can you see it?
Yep. I think I just shared it, so we should be good.
Okay. Let me tag the highlights. Hello, Apostle Sharon is on. If you're coming on, you're gonna have to let me know that you're in, so I can give a shout out and say hello. And so today, thank you all so much for joining Bridging the Gap. Today, we're going to talk about the church and singleness. And I have with me today Pastor Betsy and Pastor Brandon. And so, Pastor Betsy, I'm going to open the floor and let you introduce yourself, give your shout outs, say hello to your church, and then we'll give it to Pastor Brandon and we'll jump right into it.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I want to say thank you to the both of you for having me on. I've been watching from afar, watching you guys' conversations and everything you guys have been doing. It has been great. So that has been amazing. And so I'm just excited. So I want to say again, thank you. And then I am a pastor, senior pastor of Acceleration Church in Antioch, California. I've been pastoring, I've been pastoring for about 19 years now. So it has been amazing. I have several books, and I just released a book called Salt, Single and Loving It. So I am happy and excited about that. I pray that my church has joined me. I shared it, so pray that they have joined me. So I'm just here, happy and excited, ready to have this good conversation about singleness in church.
Amen. Amen.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Um, yeah. Well, everybody knows me. Really. Um, Hi everyone, this is me, Pastor Brendan Day. I want to give a shout out to my church family, God's Temple of Yanceyville, North Carolina, to all of my friends, family. Y'all know how I do. Friends, family, enemies, associates, all of you all. Thank you for being watching tonight. I'm excited about this particular topic about singleness and the church. Very
Yes.
needed topic, but we want to just, do what we do. And so we'll turn it over to, we want to allow our host,
Yes.
the one and only
Hi.
Reverend Prophetess, entrepreneur, author, the Tasha Baladi.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Pastor Brandon, for the introduction. Thank you so much. And for everyone, welcome. As he said, I am Prophetess Latorsha, and I am so excited about the topic today. I am married, but I have had a time of being single in the church. So I've gone through the steps of it, so I understand it. I know so many people that I've talked to, they are excited about it because they're trying to maneuver through church and being single. And so for
Mhm.
everyone that's coming on, I see Pastor Apostle Sharon is on, Miss Jeanette
Awesome.
is on. Thank you so much. Miss Sandra is on. Minister Marie is on. Mr. Anthony is on. Thank you all so much for joining. And share and tag someone that you know that really needs to hear this topic. And so, Pastor Betsy, I'm going to start with you. When we talk about church and singleness, what is the one thing that we deal with, or what is one of the things that the singleness have struggles with within church?
There are several things. So I'll say this is a very hot topic. And I'll start off with I like to go around the mountain and come back. So I'll start off with this. That we have to understand that our church as we see it nowadays, our African American churches and most churches, we are between 70 to 80% singles in the church.
Mhm.
And that's really across the globe. And then when you look at it, we are 90 to 80% singles in the church that are females. So a lot of the things that we deal with within church uh, comes from and stems from us female point of view, and I don't know how far I can go, but I'm gonna watch y'all faces to see how far I can go. Oh, okay. Pastor Brandon said, "Go ahead." And so when we're dealing with different backgrounds, different denominations, and different church formats, when you look at the Baptist church, they are mostly single males that are in the Baptist church. When you look at Pentecostal, Church of God in Christ, things like that, they are mostly single female churches. So it just depends on which genre, or which, I should say, which area you're referring to. But the one thing that we deal with the most within our church, which is something that we need to deal with, is I'll say two things. One is one of the things that's really taboo, and I pray I'm okay on here, y'all. Is sex we deal with, and how to carry yourself as a single person within the church. A lot of times, and I'll deal with the second one, then I'll pause to see if we want to go any further. The second one, and when I say how to deal with yourself, or how to carry yourself, I should say, within the church, is because a lot of, I'm going to say it this way, because a lot of single people don't know how to approach, or don't know how to, I'll use the word approach, don't know how to approach someone that they would want to date, or someone that they would want to be involved in. We see the little reels that go on, and it has and one of the comedian ladies, she say, this how a singles act, that you pass them a Bible, hey, here, you left your Bible after church, and then you go running out, say, here, that kind of thing. That's that flirting. Or if you bring somebody, when we're having, look at Pastor Brandon laughing at me, don't talk about it, Pastor Brandon, I'm trying to be real. Or after church, when you're having that dinner, you take somebody a plate. Here, Deacon, I fixed you a plate. That little flirting type of thing. And you just don't know how to approach people. And we never talk about the appropriate ways of approaching, another single person, within the church. And then also, it's a sex thing, but that goes into a whole nother thing. But, we don't know how to appropriately talk to people that are at the church, and how to approach them. And I think that that's one of the biggest struggles that we have as singles within the church. How do you approach someone? Because everyone's dealing with, some type of rejection, trauma, different things like that. And you just don't know how to deal with people, and you just don't know how to approach them. So I think that's one of the biggest things that we have within, the church. There's a couple of things else that I could say, but I will leave it there since you just asked that one.
and this is a free form, because
Okay.
I think enable for us to bridge the gap between life and religion, and life and church, we have to be transparent. We have to be able to let them know, because it's something that someone is dealing with, and they're really having a hard time, because they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to maneuver.
Right.
And a lot of the things, like you're saying, with singles, they don't. What am I supposed to do? I can't go out. I'm not supposed to, because church sometimes have singles feeling like they have to be, if they can't come to singles night at church, then they shouldn't be going out anywhere else. They shouldn't go to another place, because, we're going to provide a place for you to come, but it's going to be a singles night, but then it's a night full of women. Like you said, it's majority of women. You may have one or two men that show up.
Exactly.
But have a singles night full of women. So, they don't know how to go out. They don't know how to interact. They don't even know how to have a conversation without it being so entangled with church. And I see you shaking your head, Pastor Brandon, as a single man in church. What's some of the things that you yourself have run into?
I think, well, I'm not gonna think. Things I've run into is the cliche of it all. Oh, man of God, you're so anointed. Man of God, this. Man of God, that. Man of God, this. You're just, and I'm like, okay. And it's, I think being single, period, is tough with being in a church setting, because you have all these rules and boundaries you got to try to abide by. You can't do this because it looks like you're doing more. Then they quit to use the scripture, don't let your good be spoken evil of. And you got to have a chaperone. You got to do all these things. And for me, sometimes it becomes overwhelming, because sometimes I don't want you to know Pastor Day.
Come on, sir. Come on. See, I was getting ready to touch on that one too. Come on, sir.
Because Pastor Day is not always on call 24/7.
Listen.
Pastor Day is mighty. But this Brandon side,
come on,
I have my moments.
And
And I think sometimes people don't realize the anointing is attractive, and they're attracted to what they see in the pulpit or what they see working the altar. But once that is calmed down or temperament out, you
Mm-hmm.
got to deal with the actual person.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times that I've been dealing with is people get hyped in the glory of, when I'm working ministry and doing this and all this. And then when they meet me on the outside, I don't like to talk.
Right.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
a quiet person.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm not a type of person that always going to be the one that's, you text me, okay, I may text you. It may be a little while because I'm doing other things. And people don't realize like what you see in the pulpit, that's God.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When I come off the mountain, can you deal with that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's tough because a lot of times people, like you said, singles night at church, it kind of is a catch because then you run into almost as if some people view doing that in church is like kind of promoting the wrong thing. I don't want to say the word I want to say, but we have to be careful with that because I mean, be honest, because I've had some people say, "Well, Pastor, how do you feel about having singles nights at the church, and what is your view on that?" I have no issue with it. I mean, I don't, but we have to be careful with it because, like you said, most of the time it's majority women,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and then there may be a few men here and there. But I think at the same time, we need to learn to have the conversation on how to approach, how to date, how to still keep your sanctity, how to keep doing these things without feeling like you got to be uptight and you always got to be don't hold my hand because I'm don't touch me because that ain't we listen, we're human, we're people, you know, we're people, and and this is a conversation I feel that is needed. So those are things that I've dealt with even within myself of trying to even think about approaching a female because sometimes when approaching a female you have others that are looking like, what is he doing?
Right.
Pastor, you shouldn't be doing that. You don't
Hmm.
supposed to date. Okay, if I don't date, how am I gonna get married? And then you gotta figure out, okay, so then it comes to my mind, well, let me date and not tell nobody. So
Right.
it's yeah.
And Pastor Betsy, I heard you said you was going to touch on it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the thing about it, and he touched on something that he touched on several things, and I'm gonna start with the end part of what he said is like, especially us as pastors, dating within the church can cause so many problems.
Right.
It causes so many problems. So then if you find someone outside of church, then that causes problems. Well, I thought I was in line. I thought they was
Yes.
gonna try to. I was like, hold on, whoever gave you that? See, Pastor Brandon, don't be laughing at me. I'm trying to tell you the truth. I thought I was in line. Well, who told you that? Who said that? Who said that? And so you it's this thing. And so and seriously, you have to, and Pastor Brandon knows
Yeah.
your church can fall apart over a marriage,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
whether it's marriage or
Yes.
divorce. Your church will fall apart, and if it's not handled correctly. So him saying that, maybe I should date without saying anything or without telling anyone, that's almost the best way to go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That really is almost the best way to go. And so it's really hard for pastors, elders, ministers. It's really hard for us to date within the church. And I'll add this into it. For me especially, I don't know about Pastor Brandon and how it might be for you, but for me especially, um, it's hard trying to find someone who's not intimidated by your anointing as a female pastor. It's
Mm-hmm.
very, very hard. And then also, this is what I was going to touch on, what he was talking about, is that when I'm in the pulpit, that's just one little piece of me. When I
Mm-hmm.
get home, I'm a totally different person. I am totally different. It's I'm an introvert, and I can be an extrovert when I want to. So I'm that, people, being around people. See, Pastor Brandon all the time, being around people drains me. Okay, it's
Yes.
not that I don't like you. It's
Ooh,
not that I don't
yes.
want to talk to you. I get my energy from being by myself, and I rejuvenate from being by
Ooh,
myself.
can we get an
I don't
Yes.
amen?
have time by myself. I turn into something else. And
Yes.
so a room
Yes.
full of people, it's almost like, oh my God, and then you have to say, hi, how you doing? Praise the Lord. God bless you, And then when you leave, you be like, oh my God, I'm so excited. But and people
Yes.
don't understand that. They don't
Right.
understand. They think that you're the same person in the pulpit that you are, when you get home, and it's totally different. And so, like he said, the anointing is very attractive. They love it. They love what they see and all this, but it's not the same person. And then also you have to find someone who knows and who has balance. I gotta find
Yes.
someone who has balance. I gotta, I don't drink or I don't smoke, people think that, but there are people, but anyway. And so you have to find someone that knows how to have fun, that knows how to do these things and have balance in their lives, but they're still anointed. Do you understand what I'm saying? They still know how to pray. They still know how to, but at the same time, I want to say mantle, and I hope I don't offend anybody. I hope everybody understands me. Put that mantle down to just be Bessie, because
Yes.
Bessie needs that time as well.
Yes.
Pastor Brendan needs that time as well. So we need that time to just be ourselves. And if we're not that, then we burn out. I cannot be
Yes.
anointed 24 hours a day. I don't know
Mhm.
anywhere in the Bible where God spoke to people or Jesus spoke to people 24 hours. I just don't know. People be
Yes.
like, "Oh, well, the Lord told me." Well, He'll show having a whole lot of conversations with you, because He don't have that many conversations with me, and I'm the pastor. Like, He spoke to you that much? Like, my God, today, So people think that you're so anointed that they,
Mhm.
you're always in there. When you get home, you're supposed to be prophesying. When you get home, you're supposed to be praying. You're supposed to be fasting all the time. That is not me. It really is not. And so I think that people really get it mixed up and confused. And if I can just twist it and turn it to conversation just a little bit, that's the problem that I see with a lot. And I shouldn't say problem. That's something that should be addressed or should be taught, um, that men, Pastor Brandon, I'm gonna lean on you for this one. I'm gonna look right
Come on.
at you.
Come on. I got you. I got you.
That men don't want a saved woman all day.
Mhm.
That you cannot be saved all day. You can't be speaking in tongues. Oh, y'all gonna get me. You can't be speaking in tongues while we trying to be intimate. I'm not. That's not happening. That's
Mhm.
not happening. I'm not playing TD Jakes love songs while we're trying to enjoy a moment. That
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah.
that's just not
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And so a lot of women think that, they're supposed to be, oh, I'm just anointed. I'm just, I'm holy. I'm sanctified. Oh, don't
Mhm.
touch me. Like he said, don't touch me. We can't hold hands. We can't, it's just like, come on. Come on. Well, how do you expect to, so you need balance. There has to be balance. And I think that because of the way the church has put it out there, is that
Mhm.
there's balance that's not taught.
Yeah.
And
And
That
I
I really believe that a lot of fear has been placed on singles. If you want to walk with God,
yeah,
you have
yeah,
to do this, you have to do that. You can't let your good be looked at as bad. You can't be seen walking down the street. You can't be seen coming out of a jazz club. You can't be seen,
right,
or out having ice cream with someone that and he's not part of the church. And many, and almost like with people when they're trying to bring people in to get saved, they have them so afraid that they're going to go to hell that they think that there's
come
no other
on,
choice, instead of showing them that it's the love of Christ that's drawing them in. But many people preach hell and damnation, and so people come in out of fear, and then they're not walking the way that they should walk. They're just doing it because, listen, I'm checking this block because I don't want to die.
right,
And so, but that's also with the Christians, with the singles, they're checking the block, but then they find themselves so to a point of, I'm a I just need him. I want a man. I've played the game. I play the rules. So you know what? He don't have to be saved, because the Bible said that a sanctified wife was
sanctified.
sanctified man.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Come on,
just
come on.
he's in the streets. All I care about is I just want a man, because
Yeah,
I've been playing this game so long that I feel like my clock is ticking. My
mm,
time is running out for me to have children. My time is running out for me to enjoy this life that they say. So listen, I'm just gonna go ahead and trust the Lord that the person that I pick, that He's gonna clean them up and He's gonna bring them in. But how could we as the church help them to be in a place where it's not a fear of them enjoying either a single man or a single woman, how to do it the right way, how to do it the Christian way, Pastor Betsy?
I want to say, and I said this. We had a conference a couple of weeks ago, and I said this. I said, the one thing that we fail to realize is some, I should say some women fail to realize is that, and everybody, and I'm gonna use this name because this is what everybody always goes off of. The way that Boaz found his wife was she was working.
Thank
That's
you.
plain and simple. Is that she was working,
Mm-hmm.
that she was working, and it just depends on, how can I say this? It just depends on what you're attracting. If there is someone that's looking for, I'm gonna pick on Pastor Brandon since we here. I'm gonna pick on us. Pastor Brandon's, and this is not his qualifications, y'all. I'm just using this as an example. So I don't want y'all on here talking about, "Ooh, Pastor Brandon looking for this." So nobody from his church, please don't. But
Hey, don't send me a text
you know,
message.
right? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. So he's looking for
Asking
somebody that
about
knows how to work ministry. Right. He's looking for somebody that knows how to work ministry. So that knows how to work in ministry, that knows how to work ministry, but knows how to pull things together. So when you're trying to attract, and that should be the better word, when you're trying to attract a mate. Can I go around the mountain, come back? When you
Mm-hmm.
go to the club, you know what you're attracting.
Mhm.
Right.
When you on the streets, you know what you're attracting. When you out at 2 a.m. in the morning, you know what you're attracting. So when you're in the church, you have to understand what you're attracting. So so you have to carry yourself in such a way. So what we need to understand is that when you go to work for the Lord,
Mm-hmm.
you find your identity. A lot of women come in the church and they just, oh, I need a man, I need a man, I need a man. Find your identity in Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Find out who you are. Start working in the church. Find out what your ministry is, what your gifting is, and just really find yourself in that. When you find yourself in that, someone will find you.
Mm-hmm.
Someone will find you. And those are two really key points that sometimes a lot of women miss. Find yourself working in the church. Most of them just come to church on Bible studies Sunday mornings, and they think that that's going to be enough. No, find
Yeah.
yourself in the
Yeah.
church working, because what it does is it helps you with your identity. It helps you find out who you are. It helps you deal with your trauma. It helps you deal with your loss. It helps you deal with all those things that you have been dealing with that no man wants to deal with. So if
Mm-hmm.
you deal with those issues that you have going on, and you learn how to heal, you learn balance, and then you allow yourself to be found, then I think that those are some things that can really help. So don't come into ministry, or don't come into it thinking, oh, I need a man. It takes literally 2 years, and this is psychologically, it takes you 2 years to get past all the trauma that you were going through in your last relationship. So if you come into this just getting out of a relationship or something like that, give it some time,
Mm-hmm.
because then you're going to, the next person that you're in relationship with, then you're going to have thoughts of what was happening in your last relationship, in this relationship, and then that causes problems. So a lot of times what we need to do is we need to find our identity in Christ, find out who we are, so that we can help and operate in ministry. And no man wants a woman who does not know who she is, and who does not have her own thing going on. And okay, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna look at Brandon's face. No man wants a woman who doesn't know her identity, and who wants to just be in the shadow of him. It is very attractive when a man, come on, Pastor Brenda, lean in. When a man asks you on a date, if your answer is yes all the time, and you ain't got nothing to do, you be telling me you don't have no business functions, no friends, no nothing. He knows that when he marry you, you gonna be clingy. That's clingy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if I got ministry to do as a man, I can't do it. I can't do clingy. I can't do clingy.
Yeah.
So when you find out who you are, you comfortable on who you are, work in ministry, deal with your trauma, your issues, and God can really help you to be found. And I'm saying that word found, and I hope people understand that he that findeth the wife be found.
Right.
Can I please step in?
Come on, come on.
Oh, this is good. Um, you're so right. Because I never have a chance to really talk about the Boaz and talk about he that found a good, because most of the time whenever you hear that being taught, it's always from the woman perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Most men don't touch it. And I feel like that is doing a disservice to that full text.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much in those texts
So
that
much.
will help us even as men. Let me first start with saying this. Oftentimes we think that it's always women that feel as though my time is up, I'm just getting close, I'm getting old, I can't. Men think the same way.
Come on, help us, sir. Help us.
Well, let me say I do, because I know some of y'all don't do that, man. Bruh, chill out. You're not telling the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Because we want to have a legacy.
Yes.
And we don't want to be 60, 70, or 80 just getting married and then want to think about having kids.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
So let's kill that notion now that it's only women that think about that. Because that's not always true.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing is, um, I think the pressure that we put on a lot of single men pastors
mm-hmm.
drives us crazy.
Right.
Because as soon as they see a single man as pastor, you need to find a wife. Then a lot of us get married to somebody
Yep.
to try to fulfill that vision, and then they live in hell and misery and end
At
up
home.
divorcing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of friends that are pastors that are men, and many of them have went through divorces
Mm-hmm.
because they're trying to keep up the image of the people that they want. And
Right.
I feel like congregants have to understand that yes, your pastor is a male, but let him be ready and let him find the one that he's supposed to be with.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he got to deal with your hard headedness, deal with the word hard headedness, then go home and deal with the nagging wife.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just being real. I'm just really just being real. And so to step on the text or talk about the text, you hit it on the head because Boaz was watching her as she was working,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and he started inquiring about her
Let me
without her
tell you.
even knowing.
Sorry, we preachers. So let me just interject
Yeah,
right there.
yeah,
There was
yeah.
plenty of people he was watching of his
Yes,
own kind. Of
yes,
his own kind.
Mm-hmm.
right.
There was plenty of people he had seen come and go that he
Mm-hmm.
could have chosen. Obviously, she has some type of work ethic
Yes,
that he
yes,
was attracted to.
yes,
If you
yes.
don't got no work ethic
Mm-hmm.
that he can be attracted to, baby, he ain't looking for you, nor
Yeah,
is he inquiring about
yeah,
you. I'm sorry.
yeah,
Go ahead, Pastor Brandon.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, and you're right
Scripture is
because
good.
at the end of the day, how you handle yourself
Mm-hmm.
lets me know your security level.
Come on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The reason most first ladies tear the church up because they're not secure.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
Because
come on,
a
sir.
real, I hate that term, first lady, because that means it's gonna be a second or third or fourth. The elect lady of the house, the
Yeah.
leading lady, however you want to say it, when
Mm-hmm.
they are secure, they don't have to have that title. They're cool with just being the pastor's wife.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Mm-hmm.
not concerned about an image. They are secure and just working in the ministry.
Yeah.
And the text says,
Come on,
he that
Tex.
findeth a wife, not
Come
a
on, Tex.
girlfriend.
Come on, Tex.
So stop asking me, where's your girlfriend? I don't want a girlfriend.
Come on,
The
Mm-hmm.
Tex.
Bible says, he that findeth a what?
Right. Come on, Tex. Come on.
Findeth a good thing and obtain a favor. So
That's
that means
Bible.
if the wife is doing what she's supposed to, she's gonna have favor.
Come on.
But if she's not doing what she's supposed to do and working in the ministry, not just the ministry of the four walls of the church,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that God has given her to do, she's gonna have her own favor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what we fail to realize is that we have so many people wanting our husbands, our wives to be this, and we want our pastors to be this. We want for the female, want our husband to be this. But if they're not doing anything to obtain the favor and keep favor on their life, what's the opposite of favor?
Right.
Decrease,
Mm-hmm.
Come
lack.
on. Yeah.
So I have to make sure that whomever I'm going to court or whomever I'm going to be with, they have to
Mhm.
be in alignment with where I'm going. Because as we have said, I'm not always Pastor Day. I don't like. I shouldn't say that. I like being alone. I don't want to say no. I'm gonna say it because sometimes it has to be said. I don't always like people.
Mm-hmm.
Truth. I work a job where I deal with people all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
Then I come to church, deal with people all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
So the times I need to pull away, I need those times to I can just sit there. Now, granted, there'll be times when the presence will come in the time just chilling, but I'm not gonna always be on that.
Right.
Right.
And so I think, far as how can the church remove that pressure, let the people be the people.
Mm-hmm.
Teach them the proper way of understanding what it means to be single. Just cause you single don't mean you're alone.
No.
Right.
And a lot of people associate singleness with loneliness.
Yeah.
No, just cause I'm single don't mean I'm lonely. I'm
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
good. Cause
Yeah.
when I eat, everybody eat.
Everybody.
Mm-hmm.
When I
Mm-hmm.
leave out the house, everybody go out the house. I mean,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
so I mean, I enjoy not having nobody in my bed. It's just me. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it doesn't mean that I'm lonely. It's just a simple fact that I am focused on what I need to do. And so I
Mm-hmm.
don't need anyone that's gonna be, why you ain't call me? What you doing? What
Come
time you
on.
coming? Why you did it? Uh-uh.
It's
Nope, this
draining.
ain't gonna work.
This
That's
ain't gonna work.
draining. Exactly.
But I
I
Yeah.
think
need
many other people, when many singles, and I can speak from when I was single.
Mhm.
All I could think about was, oh God, I need you to give me a husband because if you want me to do this thing right, you're gonna have to send me the husband. Let him find me because and when you have dealt with um, being in the world and then coming into church,
Mhm.
there's things that you've done in the world that you have gotten used to, you like. And so I would love for everyone to be, let's be honest, majority of the people that's in church, they're not all virgins.
Right.
They've experienced, what it
Yeah.
is to have that sexual life, how it is to be touched, how it is to be held. And
Mhm.
then they come into church and now they're trying to maintain because of fear of going to hell, a fear of being talked about. And so, but I think one of the things that we have to understand is in that work. When you get busy, sometimes when you're working, you don't even have time. You don't even think about that you're hungry because you're so busy
Yep.
working.
Working.
And
Yep.
when you're working, that hunger pain doesn't hit you. But
Mm-hmm.
when
No.
you stop working, that's when you feel like I need to eat. I'm
Mm-hmm.
so hungry.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
it's the same way when you are in church as a single man or woman. It has to be that work that you're doing that's going to sustain you. Because when you're standing by looking at everyone else holding hands, and you're
Yeah.
standing by looking at every married couple that's coming in, that's on TikTok, that's doing this, that's doing that,
Yeah.
you're gonna, now have that hunger pain. I long to be married. I long to be with someone. And I remember I was watching something on TikTok, and this guy said, that his pastor said, listen, list everything that you want in a woman and then go back and list, what you want. And so he had this huge list for everything that he wanted in a woman. And so when
Mhm.
he took the list back I think it was to his therapist, when he took the list back, the lady said, now, how many of these things on the list are you?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Until you can become what you're asking, you're not
Mhm.
going to be able to find and provide for that woman because you're expecting her to be something that you're not.
Yeah.
And I think many of us have to look at it. It goes back to what you said, Pastor Betsy. If you don't know your identity, then you're going to play at
Yeah.
whatever tune somebody else is playing.
Yeah.
I just want a man. So, okay, well, in the season is this time short hair. So I'm going to go cut my hair off. I'm going to go, buy a short wig. I'm going to I'm going to present myself because this is what they said. And then you get to the church and you realize, well, they not only want a short hairstyle, they want it to be blonde. So now you're going to go back out and you're going to get a short hairstyle and you're going to get some blonde in it because now I'm trying to fit in because I want to be picked off of what they saying that they want. But if you don't know your identity, you will be always able to be conformed into what that person
Yes.
is. And then
Yeah.
you're going to be miserable. So let's talk about how your identity not only saves you from choosing the wrong, walking and being what everybody else wants you to be, but also it gives you the ability to make sound decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. You want me or Pastor Brandon?
Whichever one of you want to jump in, because
Oh, I
Pastor
got
Becky,
used.
you go first.
There you
Okay.
go.
Yeah. Identity is encompassed of several things, and I will say this. And Pastor Brandon, we there. I need you to get me. I need you to get.
I
Okay,
got you. I
here we
got
go.
you.
Okay, okay. One of the things that you have to understand about your identity that's seen, not just to a male or someone that you're attracting, but to others, it's the people that are around you.
Mhm.
So when you are the friends that you have, it says something about how you feel about yourself and your identity. So what not only men but other women looking at is that what kind of people are you hanging around with,
Mhm.
because that will really tell your identity. And if you're hanging around with people who are messy, gossipers, steal worldly, different things like that, we can have fun, but I'm just talking about you just out there.
Yeah.
No
Mhm.
man is going to want somebody who got ratchet friends, because
Right.
then that means that you bring ratchet into our relationship.
Mhm.
Okay, Pastor Brandon, thank you. That means that you bring ratchet into our relationship. I don't want ratchet in our relationship. The
Mhm.
other thing that help that where your identity is friendship, and the other thing, a couple of things I'm gonna mention, is family. How do you deal with your family? Because people have to understand, I'm not marrying just you. I'm marrying your family.
Right.
Listen, I have dealt with in-laws before, and baby, let me tell you something. So you have to understand that you're dealing with family as well. So how do you and your family get along? So men look at a lot of different components that women just do not really pay attention to. So when you're
Mhm.
talking about identity, all that plays a part. Your family, your friends that you hang around, the type of job or your work ethic that you have, because it really helps you to identify yourself.
Mhm.
Because when you're talking about identity and people just think it's just looks and different things like that, it's not. It's about personality, it's about relationships. Do you have, and this is one of the things that I do for myself, I need to know, and I'm sorry if I'm wrong, if I'm picky or whatever, but I need to know before I can become friends with anybody. Do you have a lasting relationship with another female that is beyond 5 or 10 years?
Mhm.
If you keep falling out with everybody else, then that means that you don't know how to have relation.
Mhm.
You don't know how to have relation, and in order to be in a relationship, you have to know how to have relation. You have to know how to have friendship. This is a ship. We all in this boat together. Like Brandon said, you eat, I'm eating. You leaving, I'm leaving. We all in this together. So identity, it comes with a lot of different things. I want to know how you think. I want to know how you deal with certain situations. I want to know how you act when you don't have any money. I want to know how you are when you are angry. I want to know how you get when someone messes you up. Do you have road rage? Are you always upset? Do you know how to make a burger when you don't those kind of things those are really encompass a lot of your identity. Have you
Mhm.
dealt with a lot of things in your life? And so I think that we need to take time as men and women to make sure that we know our identity, know our place in God, know who we are, be very confident in ourselves. And I'm gonna throw this out here and I'm gonna come back because I know it's gonna throw a monkey wrench in something. Know who you are. Are you taking care of your body? Because one of the things I said, Pastor Brandon, I don't want to be no hospice wife.
Th-
Let me say
Okay.
that again. I don't want to be no hospice wife. So I need you to go to the gym. I need you to take some vitamins. I need you to go to doctor's appointments. I need you to do something, because I don't want us to get married and then I got to take care of you because
Right.
hospice wife. I don't want to be that. So your identity encompasses. Brandon laughing at me. I'm so sorry, but that's a part of your identity. Are you disciplined enough
Mhm.
to take care of your body, to go to work, to those a lot of things encompass your identity. And so we deal with it sometimes on the surface level, but I really think that we need to work on our identity. And last thing, and then I'll be quiet. I've been married before, and so when I went through my divorce,
Mhm.
I didn't know until after I divorced that I didn't know what my favorite color was,
Wow.
Mm.
because I was taking care of everyone else. So
Wow.
when I divorced, I had to find out who I was
Mhm.
all over again. I had to find out what I like. I knew my daughter's favorite color. I knew all five of my daughters. I knew all of their favorite colors. I knew my ex-husband's favorite color. I knew, we did pastor's anniversaries, and this is before I became a pastor. We did pastor. I knew what everybody else liked, but I didn't know what Bessie liked.
Mhm.
I had lost my identity in dealing with so many people. And this is
Mhm.
why I talked about friendships and relationships with family. Because when you deal with so many people and you have not sat with yourself, you lose yourself in people. That's where the insecurity comes in at. That's where the comparison comes in at. That's where you're looking at other people liking what they have. If you are not happy with who you are as a person, you don't know your identity. So we really need to deal with those things.
Right. Go ahead, Pastor Brandon.
Uh, um,
Right, Pastor
no,
Brandon?
no, 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 no. You hit almost everything, and I just want to now let me say it on the flip side for the men. We need to make sure that we're doing the exact same thing. You can't ask for your wife to have this banging body and you got a kid.
Mm-hmm.
It don't
Come
work
on.
like that. You can't. You need to be able to the same thing. Your
Clean
expectation
my
for
glass.
them. You have to. You have to make sure you're doing the exact same thing. Because if you're not, you've been a hypocrite.
Mm-hmm.
Let's call it for what it is. Um, and you're right because it's we don't really think about the importance of longevity. We always want to think about right now per se, about this is what I want for right now. Me, I don't always think like that. I think about, okay, I'm watching how you react if I'm being vulnerable.
Yeah.
If I'm angry, how are you reacting to that? If I'm having a down day and I just don't want to deal with, I just want to be quiet, how are you reacting to that? Because at the end of the day, when the cape is off or when I'm not in ministry, if you think about everybody in the Bible that had anointing, their their human side was jacked up.
Come
Depression,
on.
drunks, suicidal, murderers, all of that.
One.
And so you
That's
got to be
true.
able to handle those mood swings. You got to
Mm-hmm.
be able to handle when I don't feel like praying. I
Yeah.
know I don't want it because I'm in that mode. You have to be able to talk me off the ledge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How can you handle? I need to see how you handle the pressure when it's on me and when it's on me and you're under it.
Come
You
on.
know, so it's things like that that we as men we look at, and we all have to
Mhm.
look at even as singles because sometimes we get so involved in this is what I want.
Right.
This is what I want. And sometimes that's unfair to the other person
Yeah.
because you have an expectation that they are not able to meet. What I've learned is you got to learn to accept people for where they are
Yeah.
and walk with them together. You
Right.
Mm-hmm.
can't expect somebody to be a number 10 and you're like point 0.5. Admit that you're a point 0.5 and let's work in the middle and then we can keep moving. Like
You keep moving. Because I could work with this body. I can work with that body if you want to. We can work with that body.
exactly. So I mean, it's all about being real about who you are. And if you don't know who you are, say that.
Yeah.
When you made that you was telling about you didn't know your favorite color, I was thinking about this show called The Carmichael Show, and Loretta Devine is the mother that plays in the show,
Hmm.
and she was so used to helping everybody, going to order their food, to one day she had a depression, and she didn't know she was depressed. You know, we don't really talk about that in our culture. You know, it's
Hmm.
just just this is whatever.
Right.
And she broke down because they asked her, what do you want to eat? She didn't know. She knew everybody's order at every restaurant, who liked what, this, and the third. And when you get to the point that you're so engulfed with everyone else,
Mm-hmm.
that means that you're not in tune with God.
Come
Mm-hmm.
on.
That
Come
means
on,
you've made
sir.
everybody else God and you've lost focus.
Yeah.
Because if you stay in your identity in God, then you will know your desires. He knows your desires. Then everyone else will work flow. But there's no way you're gonna know your identity without
Come
God.
on. Come
You
on.
Mm-hmm.
got to lose your life to
Mm-hmm.
gain His identity.
Come on.
You got to go through a whole blood transfusion.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
we so often forget that. We think, well, no, this my babe, this my boo, this my joint.
Mm, mm,
No,
mm.
because if God get ready to snatch them, they're not yours.
Right.
And you got to learn that at the end of the day, God is first. So,
Right.
sweetheart, if you want to talk to me, let me see your relationship with God.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see your prayer life. Let me see your worship. Let me see you praise. Now, you're cute in the heels, you're cute in the hats, but let me see when the hat fall off, you going to praise so hard that the hat don't matter. That
Mm-hmm.
you'll throw the heels across the room and still dance.
Come
That
on.
if I'm on the floor going through this, you're down there on your
Cover.
knees, being ugly, slotting all that stuff, not worrying about your makeup. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I need. I don't need no. praise the Lord. God, we ask that you would just touch him. No, baby. This is my life. I need somebody to get in trenches with me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think we as singles need to really think about that. I mean, it's good to have somebody look cute with on the outside. You go, oh, y'all make a cute couple. But when the cuteness is gone,
Yeah.
when the infatuation is gone,
Yeah.
when the makeup is off and the musk is up,
Yeah.
the realness hit. I mean, it's real because I'm outside working all day. I'm not gonna smell like cologne all day.
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, so when the realness really hit, how can you manage it?
And many times in ministry, we talk about counting the cost of ministry.
Hmm. Yeah,
They always tell you count the cost of ministry,
yeah,
count the cost of what you're doing. But when it comes to singles and them dating and trying to get married, no one tells them to count the cost of what it is to go into a relationship. Count the cost of what it is to go into that marriage, because it's good when many times we're asking, or they're asking, oh, I just want to be with somebody, but you've been so long by yourself that
yeah.
you don't understand that when someone is in your space, now you have to share that space. You got to share that time. You got to
Hmm.
share the remote control. You can't just get up and go to the gym at 3 o'clock in the morning. You have to make sure that there's a price to pay. There's a cost
Yeah,
that you have
yeah.
to count. Go ahead, Pastor Bessie.
And I was gonna say, even with that sharing, and I know you brought it home with that about the parts at home, but you share their warfare. You
Yes,
share their
yes,
warfare. You
Yes.
you
yes,
share you share their spiritual battle. You share those battles with them because you are at one.
Right.
You guys are one. And
yes.
so you share those things. So you should be preparing yourself to feel
Yes.
how he or she is going to feel.
Right.
You need to know, like Pastor Brandon says, what are their mood swings? How are they going to
Hmm.
respond? Do I need
Hmm.
to step in? One of the
Hmm.
things that me and my girlfriends that we have, that we say to one another, and we check each other. This is why I say relationships is good.
Mm-hmm.
We check each other. I'd be like, sis, your slip showing. Your slip showing. And
Mm-hmm.
if it's too bad, I'll be like, sis, your undergarments is showing. Your
Mm-hmm.
undergarments is showing.
Mm-hmm.
So we, just like you learn how to, gauge your friends, you got to be able to gauge, your husband, or your wife. How is she feeling? How is he feeling? Is
Hmm.
this a bad day? Is a good day? What do we need to do? But then you also need to learn their love languages. So you yourself need to know your love language,
Mm-hmm.
because some people feel like, oh, he or she didn't get me, when they're in a relationship, he and she, they didn't get me because they didn't do this. Did you express to them that your love language is affirmation or touch, or different things like that? And we don't even know sometimes. Again, it's getting to know ourselves and our identity. What
Mm-hmm.
is your love language? What turns you on? Is it the affection? Is it words? Is it gifts? What is it? And if you don't know that about yourself, then that you can't ask somebody to just catch that out of thin air.
Yeah,
Right.
Well, he
yeah.
didn't get it. Well, she didn't get it. Well, I can't catch that out of thin air. So a lot of things, a lot of times we do share, each other's hurt, pain, and different things, but we need to know each other enough to be able to say, you know what, let me revert back to what I know that they like, so that I can cheer them
Mm-hmm.
up. Let me pray. And like Pastor Brandon said, if I'm down there, on my knees praying, you ought to be covering me. Are we down there snotting and praying together? Learn that body language too, about your partnership. So if you learn that about yourself, then you're able to communicate that. And communication is such a big key. I don't know about y'all, but I've run into so many singles who do not know how to communicate.
Right.
Like, why you don't know how to communicate something really simple? That's simple. You
Mm-hmm.
should know how to communicate something that simple. They don't know how to communicate.
And I think, many times the reason they don't know how to communicate is because they've never been put into a place where they had to communicate. Like they've been, if they grew up one way, they're used to, okay, be seen and not heard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm. Come
well,
on. Come on.
you grow up this way, so I know, listen, and so that's how I'm going to show, who I am. So I'm gonna be here, but I'm not gonna be heard. And so they haven't learned how to have their own voice to be able to speak about what they're dealing with, how they're feeling. We, and as we talked about, in our culture, going to therapists and seeking help and seeking coaches is something that's taboo. It's something that, no, what happens at home stays at home. And so they have been taught on how to be silent. They've been taught how to have a silent cry, both men and women. They've been taught how to hope and pray that somebody would be able to pick up the cries, the screams that they have, because they have not been taught how to speak. And so, we, I think, as leaders have to come alongside of them to let them know it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
But you're going to tell me what's not okay,
okay.
so that
Yeah.
I can help you become okay. But so many people have been deceived about what life is. Go ahead, Pastor Betsy.
That's a problem for independent women. I wrote a note, but since you said that's a real problem for independent women, because I'm gonna just throw myself in there. We don't know how to ask for help.
We don't.
Pastor Brandon, we don't know how to ask for help. And then on top of not knowing how to ask for help, if we didn't grow up in a house with a father, we
Right.
don't know how to show respect, because men will take respect over love.
Mhm.
Women will take love, or I should say security,
Right.
over respect.
Right. Mhm.
If you secure me, I don't care how you talk to me. I'm going to stay with you as long as I feel safe and secure.
Mhm.
But for men, if you don't respect me, it's a problem. But so those are two real main good, really important things, is that if you're an independent woman, and independence in the form that I'm talking about has nothing to do with how much money you make. Has
Right.
nothing to do with how much money you make. It has to do with have you always had to do this on your own?
Mhm.
And when you have had to do this on your own all this time, you have a problem with asking for help. You have a problem with saying that I'm hurt. You have a problem with saying I'm depressed. Because you feel like you have to carry this
Right.
yourself. And I'm gonna bring scripture into this. One of the things that Elijah said was, he says,
Mm.
I'm the only one. Brandon knew
Mhm.
exactly, Pastor Brandon knew exactly where I was going. He said, I'm the only one that, he said, I've been doing all this for you, Lord. I'm the only one. God said, no, no, no,
Mhm.
no, no, no. I got other people who do it. But it took him in such a depression, because he felt like he was carrying this torch all by himself. But the Lord never said that. He
Mhm.
sent you on an assignment to do such and such and such. He never said you're the only one out here, Elijah. I'm God. You're the only one I got doing this. He never said that. And so he
Mhm.
took on this thing of, being this independent, prophet per se, which made him very independent in and of himself, which he had a hard time asking for help. And this is
Mhm.
why I believe in, I could be this just in my spiritual imagination. He said to him, he said, there's a widow woman that's going to take care of you. So you mean
Mhm.
to tell me I gotta depend on somebody else to take care of me?
Mhm.
I'm gonna say that
Mhm.
one more time for those single women out there, because I don't know about the men. Brandon can speak to them. You mean to tell me I gotta allow somebody to take care of me without
Mhm.
me telling them how to take care of me?
Mhm.
I have to submit, which that word they don't like, but submission is a really good word. Don't, Pastor Brent, I'm sorry I brought that word in here. You know,
No, they don't. That's a cuss word in church.
it's a really good word if
Yeah,
you understand what it
correct.
is. And
Yeah.
when you
Mhm.
have someone that knows how to love you, that knows how to treat you, and you know how to speak each other's language. But so independent women have a problem with asking for help. They have a problem with leaning on someone else. And then they have a problem. And then some women have a problem with respect, because they didn't grow up in a household with fathers, so they don't know how to show that respect. And I said this because you said something, and the other thing that you said is that because of our culture, Hispanic culture, Asian cultures, they've been breeded to respect the male.
Mhm.
I mean, that's what they've been breeded to do. But us, we've grown up with so many of us with no fathers in the house, and then sometimes with no mothers in the house, or we've been in foster care, so we don't know how. So it's a really hard thing for us. So I think that we should, and I'm gonna throw this little monkey wrench in there. We should learn how to also have patience with our mates,
Mm-hmm.
because you might pick someone that might be good and they might check off all the boxes, but they just need just a little patience in certain areas. And
Mm-hmm.
if you don't have that discipline or that thing to be a Pastor Brandon, you don't have that thing to be able to help your mate and to communicate in such a way, not yelling, not screaming, but to
Mm-hmm.
be able to communicate in such a way. And I'll say this, and I'll relinquish. One thing I do for couples when I counsel them, I tell
Mm-hmm.
them, I have them sit in two chairs and I have them face each other back to back, and I turn
Mm-hmm.
off the lights. They be so scared. I turn off the lights and I leave the room, and I said, stay back to back. They're in their chair, each other in their chair. And I say, stay back to back. The lights are off. Say what you need to say to one another. You listen, that thing is so effective. That thing is so effective. And so then they can talk to you. For some reason, they cannot say it to each other, looking at each other. But if they're sitting in a chair and I pray with them and then I turn the lights out, I says, now communicate with your spouse,
Mm-hmm.
the patience that you need, the things that you need, the respect that you need, the thing, all of that. And independent women have a really hard time with that.
But when you talk about the independent, one of the things that really stood out to me, you talked about the security, and I think many women, if you ask them the question, when was the last time you felt safe and secure? That will be the time that they, whatever age it is, then that's the inner child that they're dealing with. That's
Yep.
the age, and also for men, that's the age that the inner child is. And so, if your inner child is stop feeling safe at 5 years old,
Yep.
then some of the tantrums that you have within yourself, some of the issues
All come up.
that you have, they're coming from that inner child because you haven't allowed her a chance to grow. You haven't allowed her a chance, so you can be a grown woman, a grown man, but still have that inner that little boy and that little girl that's dictating your life. And so that's one of the things that you have to understand. And many women who would allow to be treated a certain way, they don't care. You can do whatever, just make me feel safe. It's because the little girl is still asking for that security. That
Yep.
little girl is asking to listen. I just need someone to hold me. I just need someone to take care of me. But it's the same thing. I think sometimes we're so, because women, even though independent women have a hard time asking for help, it's also the independent women who, it's the men that don't really ask for help either, and they have the little boy that's screaming, that's still crying, that still need to be soothed. And so now they want the woman to come in and be that mother, to hold
Affirm
it,
them.
to
Yeah.
take. One of the things that when they talk about being that single man, that single woman, that I think a lot of issues that they run into is because no one has allowed them to have that inner healing. No one has told them that it's important to have inner healing. And until I went through coaching, I didn't even know there was a such thing as inner healing. Like,
Yeah.
no one talked about it when I grew up. Nobody talked about the brokenness, the little girl. No one talked about that. But
Yeah.
yet I am a grown woman and I
Yeah.
have a little child that's throwing a tantrum, but yet I want to be with a man that also have a little boy that's having a tantrum. And then you're wondering why there's such a confusion within church. And so you have these women and these men trying to come together in church, and they're being led by the little boy and the little girl, and they come into a building and, oh, this person looks nice, and oh, well, he this is how I would want my father to be, or this is how I would want my mother to have taken care of me, so I'm going to move towards this person or that person. And they find themselves in a bind. And so, Pastor Brandon, when we're talking about that inner healing, what's one of the things that you would tell those who are watching about the importance of coming to a place of wholeness?
Unlearn what you was taught. Because as I was sitting here listening to both of you all, I think the problem with a lot of us that we have gotten so used to speaking on a certain level. Um, and one issue I found as a single male, it's not all times, it's not with the women. It's that I have to combat other men.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that we've always been taught a man don't cry.
Mhm.
And I tell men you need to cry.
Mm.
It's okay not to be strong all the time. because the toxicity of what we have been taught
Mm-hmm.
is, you got to be strong. You can't cry. You can't show weakness. You can't do this. But on the inside, a lot of times we just want to have somebody to be vulnerable with.
Oh, I was just
And
about to say, I
then
wrote a
when
note
we
about that.
are vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
when we are vulnerable, then we come under attack by both sides. You
Right.
ain't no man. You weak. Then we put on this persona. We become Samson
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
start playing with the wrong woman. When we do become vulnerable and tell our weakness, but
Mm.
because we have been taught how to manage it early or been
Mm-hmm.
taught how to walk through it correctly, we get hung up with the wrong person. Then we lose our vision. What happened to Samson? His eyes
Mm-hmm.
were plucked out. You lose your vision. Then you lose your strength.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't come back. Then you made fool of. And we as single men, a lot of times, um, we always hear about the side of the woman. And I respect both of y'all. Y'all already know. But I think sometimes the men are left out because we've always, and I've listened to a lot of pastors now. It seems like this is the thing a lot of pastors teaching, and is the man got to be like this, the man. But I'm like, you're saying all these things, but that's not every man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Some men just want to be vulnerable and like, look, I don't want to be strong today.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
want to be able to lay in your lap and cry. I
Yeah.
want to be able to let it all out without saying, looking at, oh, why are you so weak? You a man. You don't
Mm-hmm.
supposed to do this. And then when we start sucking it up and we walk around like a ticking time bomb,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we have all this anger and emotion. Then you wonder why we don't communicate
Yeah.
because you told us when we were communicating
Wow.
Mhm. Mhm.
that we're
Good.
weak.
That's good.
Mhm. Mhm.
You
Mhm.
told us
Mhm.
that when I was crying that I shouldn't
Mhm.
cry. So now you're
Mhm.
trying to wonder why I'm not expressing my emotions. You walk around mad. Because when
Mm-hmm.
I gave you that, you rejected that.
Mm.
So now you want me to be that person to be rough and angry. You want me to be that thug. But you got to realize your words have power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I saw your hand, Bess. I promise I'm coming to you, sis. I'm
No,
coming to
no,
you.
no, no. Go ahead.
So I was doing a couples a marriage Bible study, which is
Mm-hmm.
weird. You're single, Bible still teaches. Um, and so one thing I told them, I asked them the question. I said, "Why did God take a rib from Adam to make the woman?"
Hmm.
And everybody was like, "Oh, because blah, blah, blah." It was good answers. But I told them, I said, "Think about it. What does the rib protect?
Mm. Come on.
The heart and the lungs."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So a woman's supposed to protect what is the air, oxygen that gives life.
Come
Mm-hmm.
on.
You're supposed to protect the life of your husband
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
on all sides. The rib is not just in the front; it goes around to the back too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're supposed to be the rib, and all of a sudden you're displaced or you're out of joint and you're puncturing the lung, puncturing the life, what you
Yeah.
expect gonna happen to your husband? They're gonna die. But at the
Yeah.
same time, the word submission goes to the man too, because the Bible says
Yeah.
that we supposed to love our wife as the God, Christ loved the church, who
Yeah.
died for the church. So
Mm-hmm.
your submission is to die for your wife.
Yeah.
But when we are in that place to where we feel like we're going to die, a lot of times our wife become that person, or that one becomes that person. Or even when it comes to men talking with other men as friends, man, you need to man up, this, that, and third. You trying to be hard and cry. Joke
Mm-hmm.
or cry, because if you don't cry, you're gonna mess up something.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
my thing is, even Jesus cried, so why can't you cry?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Come
Mm-hmm.
And
on.
so I just feel as though that we as people, as men, as single men, we have to do better in learning how to be reteach ourselves, relearn, and
Mm-hmm.
get away of a lot, because a lot of things has been passed down from generation of men that had to be a certain way,
Mhm.
but times are different.
Yeah.
Still keep the basis of knowing, having that boldness, having that strength, but
Mm-hmm.
learn how to let go. Back then, slavery time, they couldn't show weakness.
Yeah.
They were beaten for showing weakness.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're at a time that we need to be able to say, look, I can't do it today. I'm struggling. I
Mm-hmm.
need help. So even with independent men, and I'm learning that myself. So for
Come on.
anybody that want to throw shots, I'm throwing at myself.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can get so used to trying to do everything on your own that even when you ask for help, people say things about you, so you shut down. But
Yeah.
Mm,
we have to also learn to stop being stuck in our ways, being
Mm-hmm.
stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm too old. I don't know. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. That's a lie. You just don't
mm,
want to change.
Yeah.
yeah. And Pastor Brandon, as you was talking, I think his phone locked up. And,
Okay.
many times we have to, and it goes back to what you're saying. If you don't allow that space, if you don't allow that relationship, like
Mm-hmm.
Pastor Betsy was saying, if you don't know how to communicate in relationships or friendships, then you'll get into a place where now you are believing that this is how it should be. I should talk down to this man. I should do this. And I've talked to a lot of single women, and one of the things that I've learned is they look at, I've been told to be strong. I've
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
told to never let them see me sweat. I've
Yep.
been told to, and that's how I was raised. So I
Yeah.
don't know any other way. I don't know how to do anything any different. Is because this is how I've been taught. And so when Pastor Brandon, when you was talking about, that we have to retrain, relearn, and and it's not always relearning is not always it takes forever. Sometimes
Right.
it's just a mindset that I no
Mm-hmm.
longer have to talk this way. I
Right.
no longer
Right.
have to be that way. And honestly, and I know we're talking about singleness, but with me being married, going through my single years, listen, you have to take control. You have to never let them see you sweat. You have to be the one, that demand this, demand that. Well, listen, I told my husband, this is my soft season. I'm taking this cape off. I'm not making no decisions. I'm
I
not.
love it.
Listen,
I
I am
can't
taking
wait to be soft. You understand me? I can't wait.
and
I can't wait.
I'm putting on my little fluffy socks, and I'm gonna sit back on the couch.
Right.
There's come a time when you say, listen, this is not working for me.
It's
I,
not
I
working.
can't be I can't be superwoman. I can't take care of every problem. I can't do this. I didn't even got to the point now. Let me take some pickles out. Babe, can you open these pickles? Yes, I can open the pickles. But babe, you in the house, can you open the pickles?
Listen.
Listen, I'm going. And I think when we start allowing the single women now to understand, listen, you don't have to be hard. You don't
Right.
have to make every decision. And most of it is because we have been so out of control that we're trying to control. We had so many things going on and so much pain that now, I have to control it because I can't let you hurt me. I can't let
Again.
you
Yeah.
use. I
Yeah.
can't let this happen. So if I control everything and everybody around me, but in that control, it becomes so hard to breathe because you're carrying the weight of the world. You're carrying
Yeah.
the weight of your pain. You're
Yeah.
carrying the weight of your mask. You're carrying the weight of the cape that you're wearing that you
Yeah.
don't understand how to maneuver anymore. And so as we're about to close, I want Pastor Betsy and Pastor Brandon, is there something that the Lord, does anyone have anything to say before we go into the closing part of it? And I know
No,
Pastor Brandon,
I was just going to say that that soft thing is it's a whole issue because again a lot of women don't know how to be soft. The independent women, we don't know how to be soft, but that goes with both sides. And Pastor Brennan just talked about it too. We want to be in our soft space where we're vulnerable and we're open, but you bring, like I said, you bring other things from past relationships into the current relationship, and then you already have a trust issue, so you don't trust them, and then they get the backlash of other relationships. So that's why I say you got to learn yourself over again. You got to, Pastor Brandon said it, relearn,
mm-hmm,
relearn, start fresh, like a real fresh start.
right, right.
Only thing I can say is, well, first thing, can we please do a part two to this?
Come on, part two.
Where
Please,
did the
can we do?
news come from?
I don't know.
It's the when you do that, and then when you do this too. When you do this
Really?
Facebook thing
Oh,
too.
okay.
Yes, when
Oh,
you do,
okay.
yeah, because you just did a thumbs up and the bubbles came up. So when you do thumbs up or you do your peace sign, Facebook will catch it, and your phone, excuse me, your phone will catch it, your iPhone will catch it. So I'm not on my
Wow.
phone. So Brandon, you must be on
Ah,
your phone.
I
So if you do
am.
a thumbs up, Brandon, watch what it do. If you do a thumbs up, it gives it should give some bubbles or
Wow.
something. But anyway,
That's
yeah.
interesting.
Part two.
Okay. All right. So can we
part
please do
two.
part two? All right. So the next thing I want to say is we that scripture that states, "Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing your mind." I need for us to really, as believers, really start diving into that scripture because everything starts in your mind. If you're single, get your mind right, and then you attract what you think.
That's it.
That's all I want to say.
All right. Thank you so much, Pastor Brandon. Pastor Betsy, the Lord laid anything on your heart to say to the ones watching or those who will watch the replay?
No, I'll just say just repeat what Pastor Brendan says. A lot of people call it manifesting. It's not manifesting. It's yeah. We won't even get on that part. We won't even get on that. Yeah, but that's a whole different thing. It's really about you attract who you are.
Yeah.
And we see. You know, I'll throw this out there. We've been talking. I want a high value man. I want a high value. Well, babe, what you got? What you doing? Like, where you at? So
Mm-hmm.
so you have to, like Brendan said, change your mind. Get your identity together, learn who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Find yourself in Christ. And listen, let me tell you something. You'll be all right. And set some standards for yourself. Set some standards. Oh, Brandon, we're gonna have to do a part two, Pastor Brandon. We're gonna have to do a part two. Really seriously, set some standards for yourself. One of the standards that I have, and it's a really small one, but I think it's very important for me as a single, woman. I don't respond to any text messages or any Facebook messages after 8 p.m. I
Mm.
just don't. If I don't know you as a male, we have friendship and we know each other, then that's. But if you're new and we're just getting to know each other, or if you just pop up in my, it's not gonna be replied to.
Mm-hmm.
You had all day. It's not gonna be replied to. Not
Mm-hmm.
at 8 o'clock.
Right.
Not at 8 o'clock.
I
Mm-hmm.
love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So set some standards.
So thank you so much, Pastor Brandon. Thank you so much, Pastor Betsy. And we're gonna have to do a part two because
Thank
there's
you.
so much. There's so much. And for the ones that are married, don't just hang on because we're gonna have the church and married. Because I think so many people are in a place of pivot in this season. And they
Yes.
don't know how to maneuver. They don't know how to move because they've been told so many things and they've been doing so much that who am I? Which way do I go? How do I smile? I can't joke. I can't do this. And it's so important for us to understand that who I am in church. Now, if I'm on the pulpit, like they said, it's different. And so I think people have to understand that life is life.
Mm-hmm.
That yes, we can preach, we can come on the pulpit, but guess what? When we come down, and most people, and it's funny because if you talk to most pastors, most preachers, leaders, they're mostly introverts. And so after they come off of the pulpit, they just want some alone time. I just want to be by myself. I just want to put on my fuzzy socks. Y'all know I like my fuzzy socks. I want to put my fuzzy socks on. I don't want to be bothered. And so, for those of you that's watching that want to be married, take this time to spend with the Lord.
Mhm.
Because when you get married, it's a game changer.
It's a game
You're
changer.
not going to be able to go into the prayer room and be in the prayer closet for 5 or 6 hours. Ask me how I know. Embrace the time that you have now, and like Pastor Brandon said, just because you are single doesn't mean that you have to be alone. There's so many things that you can do. Being single doesn't mean that you have loneliness. Being single just means that you are without a mate, but you can still have fun and live your life. Because who wants to get married and then realize I haven't even lived?
I haven't lived. Come
Now I can't do
on.
anything
Come
because
on.
now I got to be my husband's spouse. I got to be the wife. I got to be the husband. But when you have that time alone, like Pastor Bessie said, you're going to be able to know yourself. I know what I like. I know what I don't like. I know how I want to be taught. Listen, I know that I'm a morning person, so I know I can't deal with people until like 9 o'clock in the morning.
Come on.
Things that you have to learn about yourself. so that when you get your spouse and he jumps in the room at 6 in the morning, you're like, wait a minute,
Wait a
listen.
minute.
Yeah, I understand, but this is what I need. And so these are the things that as single women and single men, you guys have to really think about when
Yes.
you're moving forward. And I know you all want to be married. I don't know how many women I've talked to that said, listen, I just want to be married. But the whole reason that and Pastor Betsy, another reason why I brought you on, because of the book that you just wrote,
Yeah.
Single and Loving It. Listen, I'm single and I'm loving it. And
Right.
listen, I'm looking at her on Facebook. She's living her best life, living her best life. And,
Yeah.
and she's single and she's not afraid. And so I think, if we stop looking at my clock,
Yeah.
because the Lord is a redeemer of time.
Yes,
Stop
he
looking
is.
at the clock and start. Once you get lost in Him, the
Mm-hmm.
man that's lost in Him, you guys are going to find each other because both of you are lost in the Lord. And that's the thing that is going to be amazing. And so again, thank you all so much, Pastor Brandon and Pastor
Thank
Betsy, for being on.
you.
You guys hold on once I end the live. And for everyone that's watching, if you have any questions, I didn't see any questions pop up, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to get some in my inbox when we go off. But just let me know the questions. So when we do part two, which will probably be next week, when we do part two, then we will have the questions for some of the things that you want to know as a single man or a single woman. And so have an amazing night. And as I tell you every Thursday, if you need me, I'm only a call away. I'm only a text message away. That we are both, everybody, we're walking this together. So Pastor Betsy and Pastor Brandon, they're not doing anything different than we're doing. We all have this thing called life. So we are here together to bridge the gap. And when you know better, you what? You
Do
You
do
better.
do better.
do better. So you all have an amazing night. Bye-bye.